Very good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to another episode of the Open House in the GwS Learning Guild umbrella. So, a quick update on what the GwS Learning Guild is and what these open houses are. The GwS Learning Guild is a collective of all learning leaders who are in touch with GwS Grow with Satori in some form or fashion. And we keep them engaged through a couple of initiatives. One of them is this one, which is the open houses. The open house happens every month. We pick up a topic. We've got some polls that we put in the WhatsApp group to see which way the group is tending, and then we have a discussion. What we do post the discussion is we are transcribing, we are recording. We will convert it into a PDF. We will share the recording also, but the PDF becomes a more ready reckoner. You don't have to sit through the entire hour to draw the essence of what gets discussed in these sessions. So that's the intent of these open houses. We will try and see what might be an interesting topic for us to discuss next month as we are closing today's session. Let me share my screen. Please do confirm if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, that's visible.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so the topic we chose this month, building a learning culture, encouraging continuous learning in organizations, that was an outcome of what we were discussing last month, building a coaching culture. In coaching culture, I think a lot of organizations felt they were not mature enough to embrace coaching as a culture. A primary need, even before they jumped into embracing coaching, was do they even have a learning culture? And hence, we thought it might be a more relevant topic to talk about. Are we embracing learning in our organizations? So with that, we will get started. My first question to you is, what does a learning culture mean to you in your organizations, in your contexts? You can just unmute and speak. We are not going round robin or anything.
Um, I think one of the pillars I think of a learning culture is that the organization realizes that it needs time and commitment, that it's
Yeah.
not just something which is on the side with no you'll have a truckload of work and then yeah, we are a learning culture. I think one of the pillars of a learning organization is that the time you spend learning something is valued as a contributing time. It is not just valued as something on the side. So that's one of the pillars, I believe. The second pillar I believe in a learning culture is that it is choice driven somewhat, in the sense
Yeah.
that employees have some ability to say, yeah, there should be guidance from manager and leaders on what they should learn, but I think it should be choice driven to the what do you want your career to see. At least some portion of it should be driven by where they want to go, where the employee wants to go, because learning happens much better, the brain works much better when it is in its consensus, and rather than it's when it's being dictated on you. And the third
Brilliant.
pillar, I think, is I think which is what I've seen the challenge with many organizations, is that the learning should not be just for the work tomorrow.
Yeah.
It should be about your growth, not just the work. A lot of organizations call themselves learning culture, but their focus is, ye project mein tumhe you need this tool. So we
What do
will
you
give you a
need
training
to
for you there.
do your work well today? Yeah.
Yeah, but not your growth necessarily. So I think these three come to my mind. There might be many other dimensions, but that those are three that come to my mind.
Thanks, Ruchi. Very well. When I'll show you the poll that we did in the group resonates with what you've just shared in terms of learning being more self-driven rather than the organization driving. These are the 5 skills we want to build this year, and everybody does it. Um, kind of a thing. Thank you. Anyone else? What does learning culture mean to you?
I think learning culture, Shanti, we do a lot of trainings for our clients, but unless they're able to translate those learnings practically in their project, I think the learning is lost over a period of time. So making sure that opportunity is also made available for all the learners, maybe when they finish a long-term program or a short-term program for that matter, also ensures better learning. And I
So
think
correct me if I'm getting your point. So learning should not be just a checkpoint that we've done a 2-day workshop, but is the organization giving an opportunity to practice what they've learned
yes,
will be also part of learning culture. Brilliant. Thank you, Preeti. Yeah, if not, I'll move forward. So the first poll that we did after announcing the topic was what is the biggest blocker to continuous learning in your organizations? And this is what people said. Lack of time, low motivation among employees, and no leadership push or visible sponsorship had equal number of votes almost. And others, I will show what people have said to others. So I had asked them to write in the comments when they said voted for other, what did it mean for them? A few of them have also written what that meant. I'll show that in a while. But what does this look like to you? Is lack of time a real problem, and how real is it if it is?
think it depends on the time, Santosh
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
So, because for example, in our organization, there are mandatory trainings and
Mhm.
there are optional trainings. And every employee, doesn't matter how like big he or she is in the hierarchical, she or he must complete those trainings, like compliance trainings or law
Yeah.
trainings. We
Mhm.
work for a financial organization, so they are
Yeah.
must completed. And
Yeah.
there are other optional trainings which, like Ruchi mentioned, like growth related or career related. They are
Yeah.
chosen by the employees and they decide according to their time and, of course, the priorities and the duties that are assigned.
Yeah.
So,
So, a couple of interesting points you bring here, Santosh. One is mandatory learning, real learning, the ones that are tied to compliances and risk and um, uh,
I
driven by
would say
the.
yes and no. I would
Mhm.
say yes and no because, for example, we have a information security training. Okay? How much ever we know that information security is important, but when you go through the training, which is updated very frequently based on what is happening outside in the internet and also outside world,
Mhm.
even now with AI, right? They bring up the scenario based learning. So at least for me, even I know like 60% of that content already, there will be something new in the training. And I would,
Definitely. Any
I mean,
updates,
I
you
personally
must.
feel it is definitely important. Yeah.
It is learning. Yeah. Any other view in the room? Is mandatory learning building into the learning culture? Yeah, I have a slightly different view on this one, and that's why I think I even asked this question. Um, and I was part of an organization where I managed both the free flow learning and the mandatory learning in the organizing compliance trainings. Um, the compliance training, in most cases, is a requirement of the organization for and trainings like fire safety, where what is kept, who what number should you dial, who is wearing a red cap and a yellow cap, what does it mean, all of that was, it didn't seem relevant to me. It seemed on that day I would still look out for some pictorial representation somewhere on the walls or the doors that tells me what to do, despite doing a lot of these training, which had yes case studies, yes scenarios, I still felt for all of such instances I would want an in the moment requirement, and it never seemed to help me. Plus, it does not allow me to grow. Yeah, it allows the organization to grow. It allows the organization to remain compliant, and especially Santosh, in a financial organization like yours, you have to be compliant. There's no other way out for you, in which you have to mandate this. But every time that mandatory training would come up on my learning profile saying, Shanti, you need to complete this training, it used to irk me, and I would literally go through it with my hand on my forehead and tired. It was not an enjoyable experience, though it had case studies. They made it fun and quiz and everything. I was like, I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to make it interesting, but this is not relevant to me. But this is not relevant to me. So I have a slightly different opinion here, but and people will have people who uh, I'm guessing, Santosh, tell me, you might be a person with lots of discipline and finance familiarity, so that conditioning of I have to do is very easy for you. But for a person like me, I like to explore things, it becomes difficult. Just leaving a food for thought there. Yeah. Um, any opinions and thoughts around low motivation among employees? What would you say?
I think it's very common, Shanti,
Hmm?
having very low motivation towards learning among employees, maybe because of the workload they have. It can also be uh, no enough recognition post the learning. Or again, like Ruchi ma'am was mentioning that it's a forced activity rather than something that they're interested in. So I think low motivation is something very common, but it also depends on the example the leadership sets.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a
I
lot of
wanted to
difference.
play the devil's advocate here too.
Mm.
I'll go back to Santosh's point. If you make learning mandatory, it will get done. But when it
Mm.
comes to the non-mandatory learning, that's where we slip into this. Am I motivated enough to do it? There is no question of motivation or no motivation. I have to do a mandatory learning. Yeah. So we give ourselves the permission to be demotivated when it comes to non-mandatory learning. Uh,
Yeah.
what's your anybody can contribute? What does that
So
statement
the
feel?
thing is,
Hmm.
I kind of, compliance trainings are not learning activity. Compliance trainings fall just because it's a training, we treat it as a learning activity. And, I know all the math of the learning hours per person and all of that gets calculated based on that. But the fact is, compliance is a need of the organization. It's not about learning. It's
Hmm.
about ensuring that you're complying with certain behaviors. It's almost like saying, we want everybody in the army to wear the shoes like this, the socks like this, the tie like this. That's not training. When you learn how to shoot the gun, and when you learn how to handle weapons, that's training. So I have always worried that, compliance people are not motivated because they don't see the learning angle. They just treat it as somebody being pushed for them to waste an hour in a day. If it can be made in some way different, maybe they'll be motivated. Now, coming to the second vertical, which is really there is a training and you're not motivated. Your team needs it for certain work, or your manager has proposed that for you because they feel you're weak in that area or whatever. Driving motivation there is a relationship between the manager and an employee in some
Hmm.
sense.
Hmm.
How you're able to position that as something which will grow you.
Yeah.
But I still don't put compliance in that bucket.
Yeah, so even within a small group of 7 people, we are divided, where a part of us are considering mandatory learning also part of learning and growth. The other half of us are thinking that mandatory learning is compliance is for the organization, not part of learning and growth. And we are okay with having these difference of opinions, and we'll see what emerges by the time we proceed to the other questions. Any other thoughts and feedback before we move to the third bullet, leadership push?
Also depends on the role where they are in. Some people
Mm-hmm.
just do the same work every day. That might they
Yeah,
might not be even interested in learning something. But some people,
yeah,
like who is a lead, somebody has to uh, or shift, work with more people, maybe need to learn more
absolutely.
things. So it also depends on the role as well.
Role and how comfortable you are in your role. I may be doing mundane stuff today, but am I okay continuing to do that for the next 3 years? Then I'll probably not learn. But the moment I realize, oh, this has become monotonous, I want to do different, maybe I'll jump into learning something new so that I can move roles and all. So definitely, that trigger is lot internal, Santosh, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Hmm? Thank you. Lovely points. Leadership push. How much do you think does leadership push or sponsorship from the leadership really encourages learning culture?
Shanti ma'am, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I'm talking about the third bullet in the poll. Um, And I'm asking, so it got equal weightage to lack of time and lack of motivation. So my question is, how much do you think that no leadership push or sponsorship drives learning culture or not in an organization?
I think this is one of the most important factors, Shanti,
Mhm.
because I myself have experience, and when clients I speak to, even if the maybe the mid-level managers or anybody other than the leadership is interested in maybe having uh, a learning intervention or just having an internal learning session as well. If the
Mhm.
leadership does not come with that mindset of understanding the value behind peer learning, having those brainstorming sessions, very informal brainstorming sessions, it need not be a complete training, formal training program always. It can always be a teach back session within the team. Um, Mistakes a team has done, it can always that can be always shared with another project team. When such uh, when this culture is not fostered in the organization from the leadership, I think there is a lot of training takes backseat always, in
Mm.
terms of budget, in terms of the time allocated, and in terms of people encouraging others for training or even sponsoring others. I think the percentage falls down greatly.
Yeah, totally agree, Preeti. Every time there has been, I've seen 4 slowdowns in my career. So every time there's been a slowdown, the first set of budgets to be cut has been learning and development and marketing. I think those immediately
Yeah.
see a big hammer and they're pushed down. And yeah, that shows the lack of uh, trust, belief, sponsorship from the leadership side. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? How have you experienced when leaders have encouraged you to learn, or they have sponsored your learnings, or they have demonstrated by learning themselves? How does that make you feel? I'm going to call out names, at least a couple of quieter ones now. Sakshi, you don't have to be right. Don't worry. It's just an open discussion. There are no right and wrong. It is what you feel. That's all.
Would you repeat the question again?
Yeah. So I'm asking, when there is no leadership push for learning in an organization, um, uh, and that's been listed as one of the biggest blockers for continuous learning. My question is, does that resonate with you?
Personally, it does not.
Mm-hmm.
But if I look from an organization perspective, yes, because even here we see usually that until you make a push at the teams meeting that do this course, yeah, finish it off by the next team meeting, it does not get finished actually. And we
Mm.
do it because we have to tick mark that and show it to you that it's done. So
It's
yeah,
done.
I think so. Yeah.
So, what, according to you, it is more personal. Uh, if I feel like I'll probably complete it, not because there is somebody with a stick behind me chasing.
Huh, yeah. Yeah. If I want to learn something, I'll have to do it on my own. Otherwise, multiple pushes even won't matter at the end of the day.
So you are contradicting what people have voted for. Okay. Any other thoughts? And we actually had contradictory comments also. I'll just show him. I'm just waiting to hear from the
Yeah.
group before I show the comments. So don't worry. Any other thoughts?
I also support what Sakshi said. Even if
Mhm.
I take personally, for example,
Yeah.
I wouldn't do the training unless it is interesting. Now, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
who pushes me to do it. I mean, that's also
Yeah.
my personal view. So, if I feel that
Absolutely.
it adds value to me or some improves my
Then
learning
you are
process,
more
I will do it.
motivated to do the course. Yeah. Otherwise, it's that
Yeah.
check in the box that Sakshi mentioned that, I'm doing it because you're chasing me every year. And for mandatory, there are even, what do you say? Consequences for not completing mandatory training. So there is no way people can't complete. So I will do it because there are consequences. But do I enjoy? I don't know. Am I learning? I don't know. I'm doing it just for the sake of doing. So true. So true. Yeah, we also saw a few other comments when people said other. Here is what they said. the what's in it for me and the alignment to the value. Do I value this learning? What Santosh was just mentioning, and what's in it for me? Why should I do this? If it is missing, it leads in people being disengaged. And so there was the Maslow's pyramid quote, and that, uh, can I get my basics done? Can I get my compliance out of the way? Can I get enough skills to perform in my current role? Then let's talk about growth. So the learning and the development part really sat at the top of the pyramid, where it was a nice to have but not a need to have. Those were two other perspectives that came up in the group. Anything that stands out for you in the comments? These are verbatim comments picked up in parts from the chat.
I completely agree with one of the comments here. So I've even witnessed this, even if the training is engaging or a learning is engaging and something that one might be interested in, uh, there are 10 different things that come up. Not many people are aware that, okay, if I do this today, it may be helpful for me tomorrow. I was witnessing a situation where uh, a senior manager was trying to develop their next person for that role. And uh, those people were constantly pushed for multiple trainings, do this, do that, do this, do that. Not many of them were keen in learning, actually. It was more like a tick box item.
Yeah, they might
Which
not have
also made me feel
realized why this is happening.
why. And eventually, when people got to know about this and they were very keen about it, so which also made me understand or realize that this is about the human thing. That if I
Yeah.
have an immediate outcome, a good
Mm.
outcome coming out from it, I may be interested in this. If I don't see anything in the near future, probably not.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you. Anything else that stood out? Yeah, I'll take that as a no. Move to the next poll. Which of these activities do you think drives learning most effectively? No one said formal programs. So people like me and Preeti are probably out of business because nobody wants formal programs. Yeah, peer learning. Again, this is the point that I wanted to highlight. Self-driven got the maximum number of items to votes. If self-driven is what makes learning most effective, why aren't we all so skilled? What's stopping us would be my question.
So actually, I'll make a slightly controversial statement. I didn't want to say it earlier, but because I do believe in self-driven learning. I do believe in motivated learning, not necessarily self-driven. The
How would
human
you
mind is
differentiate the two, Ruchi? Self-driven and
uh,
motivated?
self-driven means I decide what I will do. I will choose when I do. I will choose where I do, at what pace I do. I feel that we are human. We like novelty. We don't always, most of us do not have the discipline for completion. We have a lot of motivation when we start things. We are all you know, do more
Yeah.
excitement. We are human. We are all human, right? So, motivated, I say, is where I agree to the thing being, and in some way, that training makes me see a direction for myself or makes me see a growth opportunity for myself. So you are motivated, but you still need the nudge. You still need the midpoint review. You still need why have MOOCs not made as much money as they should have if the whole world was so self motivated? MOOCs are fighting between dying and reinventing themselves, right? Um, and I have bought 17 Udemy courses, completed 3 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, Udemy has published a recent study that in 2018, their percentage completion was less than 2%. They've been able to make it 2.5%, and they are celebrating in 2025. From less than to
So
1.8 to
that is why
2.5. Yeah.
we all see, the fact is we want freedom. That's the challenge of the human brain. We want freedom. We want to feel like we owned the decision, but we still don't have the discipline. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel like self driven alone is not enough. You do need support from organizations which will structure it for you, give you dates, will give you assignments. You'll have to complete them, you have to submit them. You can say, I want to do this, I like this will grow me. But you can't say, Mera time, Meri pace, Mera exam, Mera. Then again, the challenge of the org will be that you will not have people completing the courses.
Interesting.
That's
Interesting.
why I said it's somewhat controversial.
I subscribe to it. I subscribe to it. I do believe that if left to people on their own, uh, hardly 1% will take their learning to completion. But if there is some motivation, some push, I don't say just the leader. It could be the organizer, it could be a peer, it could be something that they want to do in the near future. Any kind of motivation is something that will nudge them beyond just being driven. So I completely subscribe to what you say, Ruchi. Um, Anyone else? If self-driven is really so effective, why aren't people completing loads of training?
It's easy to start, but not to finish. That is why.
Yeah, we are so curious to start, and I so agreed with you, Santosh. Uh, I used to say I read 3 books at a time, but now that has become 5 or 6. The reason being, I'm part of so many communities, so many groups, and they're all reading different things, and I'm starting to, get overwhelmed with all the books. I'm halfway through, and completing is a real big problem. Totally agree. And self-driven causes that non-completion, if I'm not wrong.
And that makes me recall that about the books thing.
Hmm.
Uh, I would always start a book, and until I am really hooked to it, which was usually fiction, I
Hmm.
would not read it. And I want to read it. I want to really read it, but
Yeah,
I just won't. Then
yeah.
I figured out my distractions. If
Hmm.
I'm reading a PDF, then it's internet, and I would, just go to Google some word and then scroll through and waste my time. I
Hmm.
started turning off the internet, and I won't read in the phone anymore. I would read in the laptop.
Hmm.
So maybe even in the actual life, when we are trying to learn something, we figure out the distractions and then try to get rid of them.
Yeah, and that's what a self-driven person will do.
Yeah,
Your level of probably being self-driven is pretty high, Sakshi. Kudos to you that you are
thank you.
able to turn off all these distractions and stay focused. I think I am self-driven, so I've got books all around me that someday I will read. And my goal was to come here every morning and spend the first hour at my work desk reading before I start my day's work. But I've started coming in late that I eat into that free time. Had I known that there was a call at 9 a.m., I would still reach office at 9 a.m. But I know my first call starts at 10. So even if I'm a little bit late,
Yeah,
is okay.
yeah,
We give ourselves that permission just because it's learning, not for anything else. Like mandatory learning, we will not give ourselves that freedom to not do. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Sharing one comment that came for that other that you see here, collaborative and co-created learning, where viewpoints of life experience of each participant are valued and recognized. To me, that seemed very close to peer learning, but would like to ask from you, how different is peer learning and collaborative learning? How does that look different to this group here?
I can give one example. I don't know which category it falls in.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, I play badminton and I
Mm-hmm.
started playing with very professional people who are
Yeah.
like expert level. I'm not, I'm not at that level. So
Hmm.
initial 2 weeks was very difficult for me, and they're all of my age category, and they
Yeah.
started giving techniques.
Hmm.
I in third week, I beat one of them.
Hmm.
So I don't know what should be the call of this, but during all this training, they never made me feel that I was a beginner or an intermediate level guy. Maybe I should call it as peer learning, or I don't know, but it was very effective.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I was valued a participant and I was learning by these, and it's
Yeah.
also collaborative because it's a team. We are playing double.
It's a, you're playing together. Yeah. Yeah. Collaborative and peer, I think it fits in both buckets. Interesting. Any other thing you want to share about how would you differentiate peer learning and collaborative learning? I can share what comes to my mind. To me, peer learning is learning from someone else. Yeah, learning from one of my peers. When I ask, if you are my peers and ask, Santosh, I know you know how to create this code, can you please teach me? That would be peer learning. Collaborative is neither does Santosh know, neither do I know, and we say, come on, let's figure it out. You also search, I will also search, we will try, we will share our learnings, we will share our experiences, viewpoints, and eventually we will figure out the right way. To me, that sounds more collaborative. Peer is learning from a peer. Any thoughts on what you just heard?
That's a good way of looking at it. Although I have kind of in my mind at the subconscious level said peer learning is when things happen around you and you pick up from your
You pick
peers.
up.
It's
Yeah.
not, yeah, that is, whereas collaborative is when there is a planned way of engagement, uh, and as a result, you learn. So that's the difference I see in the two. But
Brilliant.
yours was another way of.
Yeah. Like that, Ruchi. Anyone else? Last poll before we start to figure out what's the solution of this. We asked people, how strongly do you feel your organization has built a true culture of learning? And you can see it is spread, literally thinly spread from very confident to we are making progress to just starting to, it's just a word, not culture yet. Yeah. And we'd asked them to talk about a few things as to why do they think what they think. And here is something that this is not verbatim, this is Chat GPT summarized for me. True learning culture is equal to mindset plus practice. And I think we've been talking about it. Preeti mentioned that you don't just consume learning and forget about it. Organization has to create an opportunity to practice what you've learned. Freedom to learn, but also enabling a shift from unconscious. Yeah, that's English to just say that put what you're learning is into practice. Subject matters beyond training, earlier approaches often shaped that initial training with a little follow up or a refresher support leaves employees far more confident. With no suppose, this was somebody who was talking about how in their organization there are large boot camps to start with several months. If I'm not wrong, if I read it correctly, 3 months or something, the employees are put through a boot camp and a rigorous boot camp, but they're expected to hit the road running after the 3 months with no additional support. And when employees look out for support from the peers or managers, they're looked down upon and said, you aren't ready yet, or labeled as needs PIP kind of a thing. So that's why I captured this. Learning has to be continuous, not just before annual reviews. I have to complete my 40 hours of learning this year. So let me take whatever comes my way. In fact, when I was leading learning for a bank here in India, people would come for the second run of Excel training, third run of Excel training. And then I would wonder, and I had to ask the manager, see, every time they come for this 3-day Excel training, every year, and I'm wondering why they do it exactly in September. The reason was we were following the October to September financial year and they needed those bulk covers. So 3 days is 24 hours in one go. And because they know Excel, they don't even have to pay attention. They know they'll crack the exam at the end. So it won't be you've not learned, so you won't get credit kind of a thing. In fact, we had to stop people from attending repeat trainings unless they have a very valid reason. So yeah, this was something I wanted to share. Anything that you observe as you see this? What's coming up for you? Yeah, you don't have to have a view, but if this resonates with you, that's fine. Yeah. So now I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to ask you all, What ideas do you have in order to be able to build learning culture? And this is going to be the most useful part for people when they are reviewing the PDF or the recording later. So this one I would really like to do a round robin, and we'll start with the name on my screen first. Santosh. Um, what ideas do you have to be able to build a learning culture?
Share one real life example which we started in our company.
Mhm.
So we have a quarterly learning uh, calendar where the employees themselves actually provide a topic that I want to teach some breathing techniques, for example, or I want to teach
Mhm.
about Power BI, or I want to teach about AI. Any
Very
topic, it
nice.
could be any
Mhm.
topic. So we start one quarter earlier and present the topics, and we also ask our own employees to vote which is the interesting course for them,
Hmm.
and whichever is most voted at that topics are taught by the employees themselves. And there's no formal checks in this. There's no quiz. There's no assessment. There's nothing. And when we started, there were only 10 trainers out
Mhm.
of 10,000 people. But now we have around 2 to 300 plus trainings running each quarter. And now
Wow.
this has become one of the successful initiative which are taken voluntarily by the employees. Now we have a separate dedicated employee who is running administrative work behind this.
Oh, this
So
is so brilliant, Santosh. And this is
yeah,
such a democratic way of promoting
yeah,
learning. You
yeah,
ask for what you want. If there are more people who want for it, people themselves create, curate
yeah.
content and deliver. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. A lot of organizations. Santosh, you're okay if I call you out in the PDF so that if people want to reach out to you to learn more, they could?
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. Smriti, what have you seen work for you in organizations to encourage learning?
So for me, when comes to encourage in like learning thing, so we have to build a learning group first. So where we can do like a skill building learning, or else like say or something different development kind of learning we can do. And for people, uh, let it be not related to work also, we can conduct that kind of learning in the organization, which could help them
Yeah, when you
for their
say
growth.
learning groups, Smriti, can you help us understand that a little bit more? What kind of groups have helped you?
Learning groups in the sense some I meant said groups in the sense. So for me, something different learning. If it is like skill based, it we used to come to a certain group. Like if in a team there are we use work as a team. So in my team, if like I'm into a salesperson, for
Mhm.
me that group would be something different which will build
So
that.
skill-based groups where if you want to learn that skill, you can
Yeah,
join the group where some experts, okay, we call that as communities of practice, where each community of practice is championed by a subject matter expert, and people can come in, ask questions, also share their learning. Is that what you're talking about, Smriti?
yeah, yeah, one
Wonderful.
is that, and another is because learning gives more. It not like we don't have to be in a skill based, we can learn more beyond the skill. So
Yeah,
if that also happens in an organization, it would be like great for for ourselves also, for self
absolutely.
development and all.
So not just what the organization needs you to do, but also what you are interested in learning. Going by
In
what
learning.
Santosh said, let people put up what they want to learn. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ruchi.
Hello.
Yeah, Ruchi, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, no. Might have some ambient noise. My headphone is giving some problem. Okay. So, three things that come to my mind. The first one is that the whole concept of TNI, which we have formerly known, right? Training needs
Yeah.
identified. identification in future, right? That's the meaning. In many organizations, it's treated as a dying concept because it's like, oh, it's just
Ruchi, your voice is
work
going in and out.
where is this better? Is this better?
This is better. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So my point is, although the training needs identification has kind of become a dead elephant at many places, I
Mhm.
do think there is a value, and that's why learning need not be about what you want to do this quarter. It has to be a long-term plan,
Mhm.
collected, curated from your whole organization, prioritized under
Mhm.
categories of skill building, behavior building, leadership building, and
Mhm.
giving people choice. X hours you can do online, Y
Mhm.
hours you have to do face to face. You
Mhm.
have to make sure that you do 5 hours every quarter,
Mhm.
like a simple model, or 6 to 8 hours every model, and let them. And if the LMS can track that for you, that in this quarter, let me go and see what all are the open programs, and everybody above a certain, so open programs which I can take in for my behavior growth. But
Mhm.
the I still call all of this a culture of training. You still don't know if people are learning after that. That is my challenge. And that's
Mhm.
why application, I don't have a very creative idea there, but at least some part they should be able to demonstrate that they have applied out of
Yeah.
the, let's say, 30 hours that they are asked to do in a year or something. Somehow, somewhere in their performance review, there should be a section, maybe a 0.05% of your performance should be, or 1% of your performance. Did you apply your learning? Can you cite instances where you applied your learning? And I
Brilliant.
think that, so it's a whole framework. You can't just so you have your open programs, you have the data collected, you have split it across, let them self manage which one they want to take, which one they don't want to take, and but show some impact of it in application. And also another way of building learning culture would be that everybody who's a subject matter expert, either they are expected to run a community for a year, like it becomes part of their 10% of their goal,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
or 5% of the goal. If you don't want to run a community of practice because that's not your personality, you have the choice of doing a 3-day session once every 6 months. So
Hmm.
everybody who's a specialist has to contribute back as a
Yeah.
culture and as a performance review also, not just as a culture. So I think if you don't tie the carrot and stick to some level without making it draconian,
Yeah.
um, it's, we want the culture of waking up early for our children, we want the culture of them being respectful to their parents, we want the culture of so many, but you have to have some stipulated ways of carrots and sticks, otherwise I think it does not percolate.
Yeah. I'm also saying the carrot as setting the direction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have the carrot and the horse goes in the direction it sees the carrot. So you're taking the organization in the direction you want it to grow, and the entire horse moves. Yeah. Um, nice perspective. Thank you, Ruchi. Sakshi.
I've been thinking I do not have anything new. I agree to these points. One thing I can say is there should be time boundation,
Hmm?
because it's like if you say that this is the course and you need to do it,
Hmm?
um, okay, I'll do it when I have free time. And then there's never free time because we are working.
Hmm.
So there's that. And then manager should be responsible. We're not giving them a lot of time or very less time that they feel overwhelmed or burdened,
Hmm.
but just enough time to, it should be over by that time. So that's what.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you're also leaning towards what Ruchi was saying. Both carrot and
Yes.
stick are
Ha.
required. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you. Ishita.
What Ruchi and Sakshi mentioned reminded me of the culture in Barclays. So we had a title called champion.
Hmm.
So everyone who is good in something
Hmm.
will go through some trainings. I mean, if you're interested, you can go ahead. So initial stages were only if you are interested.
Hmm.
Once you have set once you have reached that level of expertise, then you get the badge of expert or a champion. For
Hmm.
example, there will be within a department, there will be an Excel champion, there will be a culture champion, uh, there will be a communication champion. So there were multiple models, and you choose your own model. Once you
Yeah.
have become an expert or a champion, and after a certain level, it will be a part of our KRAs. So if you are a champion of this, what have you done to bring up the people? So that also, of course, there is a carrot and a stick involved to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if somebody is really interested, I mean, you cannot push an adult or ask an adult with force to do this or do that. But
Yeah.
eventually, this is if it becomes part of the KRA, it automatically moves in, which also
It's
reminded me
done.
of the community that somebody mentioned about in this discussion.
Yeah, the communities of practice where a group of people with similar interests can come together and help each other learn more on that topic.
Yeah.
Interesting. Welcome, Sneha. We are very close to the session. We had very few people join today, so normally we'll extend into an hour and a half and beyond. Today we might not have that much left because we were just few and we went through our questions really quickly. So welcome. Please feel free to contribute for the next couple of questions we'll have. But I know you are joining really towards the end, so you may not feel fulfilled to stay on for the next 10-15 minutes.
Got it. Yeah. And another call.
Oh, no worries at all. Totally understand. Yeah, I'm also going to share one thing that I'd asked people to do, which is that one word that describes your current learning ecosystem. And of course, there were words like participatory and curious and transformative and rhizomatic. There were also words like compliant, resilience, tenacious, which talk about that structure. And I think we are also, as a group, coming together to uh, put this in perspective that both carrot and stick are that motivation, that energizing employees towards why they are learning, all the what's in it for them and all we spoke about earlier is necessary. While there has to be some framework, timelines by when you have to complete. Can you show us what you've applied in from your learnings this quarter? There's some sort of a measure also needs to be put in for uh, an organization to say we have a learning culture. And I was part of a group where there was this gentleman who was talking about renewing his one of his certifications, a coach certification. And in coach certification, you need about 20 plus education units. And that person really proudly said, I have 124 education units for renewal. And the joke was, if anybody wants, you can borrow it from me, kind of thing. Of course, we laughed it off. And my afterthought in that WhatsApp group conversation was, um, yes, you've attended definitely 124 hours of training to have accumulated that many education units. Uh, what have you done with it? How have you applied? How has that grown you in the past? So this year's accumulated over the last 1 year. In the last 1 year, how has it enabled you to grow? Um, and of course, I restrained myself from asking, but that resonates with what all you said. No, are people even applying, or is it just for that fancy number? I've done so much of training, kind of a thing. Lovely. Why can't I stop sharing? Yeah. Last couple of questions. What can learning leaders, L&D teams, HR teams, business leaders do to create that learning culture that we all spoke about just now? And we'll start with the newest member who's joined our team. Without giving her much context to what we've discussed, let's see what she has to offer. Sneha, what can L&D teams do to build learning culture?
Yes, Shanti. I mean, there's a lot, but yeah, now
Yeah,
what
yeah, go
comes?
ahead. And please
Yeah,
share lots where it's possible to not discuss.
yeah, one thing which always comes, yeah, more of a collaboration, feedback. I think all those things helps, yeah,
Mhm.
getting
And how
to.
can learning leaders encourage that collaboration, encourage that feedback in organizations? And what kind of feedback?
Yeah, I think more of like sometimes there is, I mean, biases happen. Maybe it's unknown bias, but yeah, that should be more of trainings. Yeah, more. I think the senior leaders should, if possible. I know it's very difficult, but more of a floor walk or understand the from the ground level also. If
So
know
what you're
what.
saying is feedback from the leaders. Can the leaders be on the ground giving people real-time feedback? I'm seeing you apply this. I'm not seeing you apply that. Is that what you're saying, Sneha?
Uh, Something, yeah, on those terms only. Yeah, like.
Thank you. Santosh, anything from you?
Sorry, ma'am, I'm having lunch. I took time to unmute.
No worries at all. Is it okay for you to speak?
Yeah, that's fine. I
Huh.
mean, for me, it's like more of freedom with motivation. I would say that's the learning culture that will
Learning
help
culture. And
employees to.
how will you as an L&D leader create that freedom?
I think
Actually, you've already mentioned.
every training we announce like what is the purpose and who are the participants that are expected, right? If we have clarity about that, people definitely are matured enough to decide.
Join. Sure. Smriti, any final words, comments from you?
No, like I agree with what Santosh said. Yeah, it's like needed. Like the motivation is like needed the more when it comes to learning and development.
Motivation from the leader's perspective. Leaders should motivate, is what you're saying.
Yeah, leaders should be, that is the one, and the motivation also comes from inside also to learn and to grab something new.
Sure. Ruchi?
Hello,
Yeah, Ruchi.
can you hear me? So I
Yes.
think as an L&D leader, and I'm speaking partly from my experience,
Mhm.
because whatever I could do at that time to improve the learning culture of the organization, I think usually
Losing you again. Lost your Ruchi? Okay, we'll come back to Ruchi. We can't hear her. Sakshi. Such a big smile. I'm wondering what's behind it, huh?
Yeah, I can't figure much, but I think now that like personally,
Hmm?
so I want to learn a lot. I want to know everything, but practically I can't know everything.
Mhm.
And even above that, I don't know what all I should be, you know, knowing that is around what I'm working on in that circumference. So something like that, that somebody who
So how
actually
somebody who gives
customizes,
you that direction.
very
Okay, for
direct
you,
direction.
this
Matlab, this
is
is for you. That, yeah.
got it. Ishita?
I have something to share.
Mhm.
Requesting everyone here who are all L&D leaders, please do not put me in the hit list. So, giving some background to people who don't know me, I come from a marketing and sales background and now into L&D. Um, One thing that I have seen many learning leaders, they they are not very good at sales, and that's very understandable. They are not making a making it important for people to understand that this is an important learning for you. That is something sometimes not all the learning leaders are good at.
Hmm.
And that's why there is a problem in leadership buy-in. That so I was part of an organization where um, the culture was little different than how it usually is in many MNC. The operations won't let anything hit their teams and the learning and development will be poking them, do this, do that, do this, do that. And only at the last day or when things become really urgent and compliance related, then the manager, senior manager, ops manager, all will come on your head and please get it done. And there will be, I have seen that also, there will be one person who would have completed the learning on their own, and they will sit at every system and finish it. Then they came up with another thing that, okay, you have to spend at least this much time on each module, then only you will be considered that it will be considered that you have completed this. Um, with that in mind, I get it that, okay, the learning team was trying to do the best of it. Why not some teasers for the people to think about? Oh, acha, let me see what is this. Instead of somebody else doing it for one person, they might have tried to uh, attempt it. I mean, attempt the learning, whatever it was. So I think even as learning leaders, we need to understand that we are also selling this concept to others, not concept, but then a requirement to others. So
As learning leaders, if you're able to market our program initiative well, I think that feeds into the what's in it for them, the motivation levels that we were talking about earlier.
yeah.
Thank you, Ishita. We did get Ruchi back, and then I think her network is not supporting her today. With that, we do come to the end of the session. So we spoke about what is learning culture. We spoke about what is stopping us from building a learning culture. We had some diverse perspectives on certain topics and themes. We looked at what can we do to encourage learning culture and what can we do with the HR and L&D hat on to build that learning culture.